I never dreamed that at the press conference, my secret husband, the billionaire CEO Damien Sterling, was about to reveal our relationship to the world. But then, the new little assistant suddenly appeared on stage, holding a small girl in her arms, shamelessly claiming the child was calling for her daddy up there. The crowd erupted in chaos instantly. Damien, the possessive husband and obsessive alpha male, didn't deny it at all. Instead, he scooped up the child with a doting expression, slipping a new jewelry piece worth millions from the company onto her tiny wrist, openly acknowledging they had a kid together. The reporters fanned the flames, stirring up even more drama. Anna held back her fury, tossing the jewelry designs she'd poured a full year into right at the assistant. When everyone saw Anna handing over those precious papers to Stella Alonso, they paused for just a moment before cheering wildly. No one could deny Anna's generosity as the director, giving away something so valuable without a second thought. Those designs represented a whole year of her blood, sweat, and tears. Comments flew about how Anna spoiled Damien's supposed daughter so much, suggesting she become the girl's godmother. Stella lifted her chin high, shooting Anna a triumphant glance. Damien's lips thinned, his deep eyes locking onto Anna with a piercing stare, his face twisted in awkwardness. Anna found it all laughable. She and Damien had been married for 10 years, but he'd always used the company's growth as an excuse to keep their marriage hidden. To avoid suspicion, he never picked her up or dropped her off at work, leaving her to squeeze onto crowded buses every morning. At the office, he enforced strict boss-employee boundaries, insisting she call him Mr. Sterling, never husband. Anna had no complaints, quietly enduring the secret marriage for a decade, helping him build the company from nothing into a powerhouse. Until yesterday, when her new jewelry design won a major contest, valued at millions, bringing in tons of partnerships. As a reward, he finally agreed to announce her as his wife at today's press conference. After waiting so long for his approval, Anna barely slept from excitement. The next day, she rose early, dolled herself up, and splurged half a year's salary on a gown just to match Damien's luxurious style. But in the end, the one standing beside him wasn't her. Anna became the biggest joke. In the past, she would have exploded in rage, but now she just watched the family of three on stage calmly, wishing them eternal happiness together. Damien's eyes turned icy, his mouth opening to say something, but a cry from the little girl interrupted him. Stella tugged at his sleeve, noting how the child seemed scared. Damien glanced at Anna coldly, barking that it was all her fault. Then, with a sweep of his hand, he shoved her aside, hugging the girl and leading Stella away without looking back. The push in her sky-high heels twisted Anna's ankle, sending her tumbling to the ground, her head smashing into a champagne tower. Glasses shattered over her, pain stabbing her back, champagne soaking her through. Damien didn't even glance back. His cold indifference stung, treating an outsider better than his own wife. The girl was just startled into tears, and he lost all composure. But back when their daughter had a fever that left her delirious, he ignored it completely. Once, Anna and Damien had a 15-year-old daughter. During one fever spike, Anna was away on a business trip, unable to care for her personally, so she begged Damien to watch over the girl. He promised, but then ditched her alone at home for a work dinner, letting the fever rage for 3 hours. By the time Anna rushed back, their daughter was gone forever. That day, Anna fought with Damien fiercely. He knelt before her, sobbing in regret. Remembering how he'd once saved her life, Anna softened and forgave him. She'd been so foolish back then, but not anymore. With that thought, Anna turned and left the venue, refusing to clean up Damien's mess like before. Outside, she hailed a cab home to disinfect and bandage her wounds with iodine and gauze. As soon as she stepped inside, there sat Stella and the girl on the sofa, laughing. The child clutched Anna's late daughter's favorite teddy bear. Seeing Anna enter, Stella smirked. She'd claimed the girl wanted to visit, so Damien brought them over, telling them to treat it like home. Stella even toyed with the design papers in her hand, flaunting them right in Anna's face. She bragged about how the necklace on the girl was designed for Anna's daughter, but now everything belonged to them. Whatever Anna had, Stella would take it eventually. She advised Anna to leave before getting dumped embarrassingly. In the past, such provocation would have ignited Anna's anger, but now she just glanced indifferently and headed upstairs. She needed to tend to her wounds, no time for games. But Stella blocked her path. In the next instant, she yanked the necklace off the girl's neck and slapped the child hard, turning her cheek red and sparking wails. Stella scooped her up, loudly accusing Anna of venting anger from the conference on an innocent kid. Right on cue, Damien stormed in, seeing the swollen face and fuming. His face darkened, and he backhanded Anna without hesitation. He called her excessive for targeting a helpless child. The girl was Stella's niece, he explained. They were just joking to lighten the mood. Anna's petty nitpicking was unnecessary. His acting was clumsy, yet Damien bought it hook, line, and sinker. Before, his blatant favoritism towards Stella would have sparked jealousy and tears in Anna, but now her heart was still as water, untouched by pain. She picked up the broken necklace from the floor, handed it back to Stella with a faint smile, thanking them for trying to cheer things up. To show gratitude, she'd even booked a 5-star restaurant. She pulled up the order on her phone. It was meant for celebrating the announcement with Damien. Now it seemed pointless. Damien was stunned by her words, then awkwardly offered to transfer the money. Anna waved it off, refusing. His tone softened a bit, noting how much more understanding she'd become. He promised to announce their marriage later. But he didn't know, when a woman suddenly becomes understanding, it's not weakness, it's because she stopped loving. This time, Anna decided to be the one to walk away first. After that, Damien took Stella and the girl to the restaurant. Anna went upstairs to clean her wounds. Slipping off the heels revealed a swollen ankle and heels blistered raw, some burst and bleeding. The sting of iodine made her gasp in pain. She'd never liked heels, but Damien, the dominant billionaire CEO, adored seeing her in them. For years, to please his possessive tastes, she'd forced herself, enduring the agony sweetly. Now, it seemed so stupid. After bandaging, she swapped for comfy slippers and tossed the heels in the trash. Compared to torturous shoes, she preferred comfort. This time, no more accommodating others. She'd live for herself. With that resolve, Anna messaged the big company that had been pursuing her. She accepted their offer. They replied instantly, thrilled she'd finally seen sense, ready whenever she was. This firm was the industry leader in the city, their CEO admiring Anna's skills and designs, offering generous pay and perks. She'd turned them down before because Damien needed her. The company relied on her for most business and new products. She'd sacrificed her future to slave away by his side. But once the company boomed, he kicked her aside like a bridge crossed. In that moment, Anna realized true hearts don't earn true hearts. Remembering how he'd saved her once, she'd forgiven the daughter's tragedy. Now they owed each other nothing, they were even. She replied she'd report tomorrow, then booked the earliest flight out. Packing revealed how little she owned. Her stuff barely filled a suitcase. The closet overflowed with Damien's suits and ties, while her clothes were faded, worn skirts. Her only valuable was the gold bracelet he'd bought with his first big earnings. Though outdated, she treasured it. He'd been in his 20s, beaming as he slipped it on, vowing eternal love and promising a room full of jewels once rich. But wealth came, and no more gifts followed. On their 7th anniversary, she'd hinted at jewelry. He snapped, calling her wasteful, unappreciative of his hard work. After that, to cure her spending, he capped her expenses. Anything over $200 needed finance approval. Her once loving husband turned stranger. When did it change? Probably when Stella appeared. Since then, Damien's heart drifted away. He micromanaged Anna's every cent, down to pennies, but lavished Stella generously. One whim from her, and he'd buy $1 million diamond necklace without blinking. He forbade office intimacy with Anna, yet let Stella call him brother playfully. He even ditched work to take Stella to hot pot or movies. Lost in thought, the bracelet slipped, hitting the floor and scratching to reveal black underneath. It was fake. Anna laughed bitterly. This relationship was flawed from the start, yet she'd clung foolishly. Better late than never to wake up. She tossed the bracelet in the trash and shredded their old photos. Her phone buzzed, Stella's social media update. Photos showed Damien holding the girl, letting her oily hands smear his custom suit, his eyes full of indulgence. Stella leaned close, feeding him steak she'd half eaten, and he swallowed without disgust. Ironic for a clean freak like him. Once, their daughter kindly brewed him coffee but spilled on his shoes. He raged for an hour, locking her in the basement without food or water all day. That weakened her body, leading to frequent illnesses. And when Anna accidentally used his cup, he smashed it in disgust right before her. His cleanliness and revulsion were reserved for Anna and their daughter alone. Anna sneered, liking the post. It solidified her resolve to leave. She sped up packing, then took a hot bath and hit the bed. Barely asleep, knocking woke her. It was Damien, too lazy for the code, expecting her to open. In the past, one call and she'd rush. Now she rolled over and slept on. Half dreaming, the door kicked open, lights flipping on. Damien roared about her ignoring him, demanding why she didn't answer. Startled awake, Anna noted his unexpected return. Usually, after dates with Stella, he'd stay over, claiming she feared thunder or needed protection as a single girl. Yet when their 5-year-old feared the dark, begging for him, he called her spoiled, locking her in a dark room to build character, giving her claustrophobia. Nights after, she'd wake screaming from nightmares. Before, his bias would have unbalanced Anna, sparking fights. Now nothing mattered. She mumbled acknowledgement and pulled the covers over her head. Damien frowned in displeasure, complaining of fatigue and ordering her to run his bath and wash his clothes. He tossed his jacket, lipstick-marked collar reeking of Stella's cheap perfume, disgusting. In the past, she'd served eagerly. Now she flung it back, telling him to do it himself since he wasn't disabled. Stunned, he pulled out a gift box, tossing it over, saying it was for her upset over the day. Inside, silver earrings. But he forgot her silver allergy, and she had no piercings. Funnier still, they'd been Stella's discards. Anna had seen them on his feed. She chuckled coldly, binning them. Garbage from others was garbage to her. Damien's patience snapped, face storming dark. He'd spoiled her too much. Yawning from sleepiness, Anna said she was tired. If nothing else, good night. Her coolness made him grit his teeth, warning she'd regret forcing him away. As he turned, she stopped him. His lips curved smugly, thinking it a ploy. But she handed him papers from the drawer. Sign this. His eyes chilled instantly. It was a divorce agreement. He wanted divorce? Snapping the pen, he squinted coldly. Anna had limits to her jealousy. Calmly, she affirmed seriousness. He slammed the papers down, refusing to sign. She replied evenly that she'd divorce anyway. It was just timing. Unable to argue, he huffed coldly and stormed out, stomping loudly to bait her into chasing. But who cared? Sleep called. Footsteps faded. Anna slept deeply. Next morning, she woke naturally. Damien, predictably, hadn't returned, likely fuming from last night. After breakfast, she cabbed to the office, submitting her resignation to HR. Then she messaged partners. Their sole condition was her as contact. Now leaving, she informed them. Done, she exited, bumping into Damien and Stella, close and laughing. He'd spent the night with her, indeed. Stella cooed about the girl troubling him last night, explaining she was orphaned young, so Damien played dad to fulfill her wish. Anna shouldn't mind. Damien snorted that Anna had no right to mind. As a mother herself, she should empathize. Hilarious, he preached empathy while ignoring their own daughter for others. Seeing Anna, they fell silent ere thick. Colleagues broke it, shoving Anna aside to fawn over Stella and Damien. They teased about hiding their daughter so well, asking about a second child for a perfect pair. Stella giggled shyly, glancing at Damien. He didn't deny, letting the cheers roll. But when Anna and their daughter visited once, the girl calling him dad earned her 10 slaps and a warning to stay discreet. Office rumors about Anna and Damien led to instant firings. Now, no denial, just double standards. While pondering, Stella sashayed over, scolding Anna for arriving at 10 a.m. As a veteran, she should set an example. Damien's face hardened, berating her attitude. If unwilling, give the spot to Stella. Her skills surpassed Anna's. Anna nearly laughed. He knew the business hinged on her. Stella couldn't even print files. Yet he claimed Stella's superior, just to humiliate, force compromise. But Anna rushed for her flight, no time for games. Coolly, she said no need. She'd resigned, position open now. Stella feigned retention. Not the time for tantrums. Anna's age made reemployment tough, even as a cleaner. Plus, new products launching soon. Leaving was a loss. Fanning flames, Damien told Stella to stop. She could go. Company would thrive without her. But remind her, post-launch success would make her regret. Who'd regret? They didn't know she held the core tech. Without her, no prototypes, let alone launch. Dreaming. Anna smirked. He might not last that long. Puzzled, he frowned. His phone rang, partners. Grinning smugly, assuming launch talks, he put it on speaker to rub it in. But they demanded, where's the latest sample? Deliver today or pay $3 billion in penalties. Damien froze, brows furrowing deep. What sample? She's mine. Every breath in the luxury penthouse overlooking New York, Damien paced, his possessive instincts flaring as he thought of Anna slipping away. But she was his little wife, mine to ruin. The chaos escalated from there. Damien, the mafia boss in disguise behind his billionaire CEO facade, scrambled in his private jet en route to an Italian villa. But the deals crumbled without Anna's designs. Jealousy burned when he learned of her new job, fueling his revenge plot. In a marriage of convenience turned enemies to lovers, with an age gap that once thrilled, now it grated. His grumpy sunshine demeanor shifted to pure obsession. Touch her and die, he warned rivals mentally. Anna boarded her flight to a new life, but Damien tracked her to a yacht party, where in a red room aboard, he cornered her for punishment, dominant over her submissive form. Tearing clothes in a heated haze, wall-slamming her against the marble, car vibrations in his Maybach later hinting at intense play. Bath steam fogged mirrors during their bath play, red ropes binding wrists, a belt's whisper promising discipline. Yet high-sweet moments mixed with abuse. Her pregnancy announcement for an heir twisted into jealousy-fueled arguments. She's mine. No one else can have her. She's my possessive husband's eternal claim.